What are they talking about? Get the other phone and then shoot.
If we live yet, because I want to tag a few people.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna start tagging people. But so we are going to discuss today the Fed Now program and the CBDC. So those are two things that you need to be fully aware of because the Fed Now program is going to roll out about May. So it's coming really quick. So you need to understand what it is, how it's going to affect you and your money and your privacies. So while I tag people, can you, just kind of jump in and explain to people what the Fed Now is and what the CBDC is?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I
You
didn't know
up?
if you was talking to
You up?
one of your people out
No,
there.
and if you want to do a quick introduction again for the people that didn't see you the last time we were here, you could just kind of quickly tell us who you are and tell us about your business.
Okay. So, I'm actually just now trying to get used to this whole I guess podcast streaming thing. I am totally against it to an extent. But hey, I got an opportunity. Yeah, I met Elena at Coffee and Conversations. It's a group out here in Las Vegas, and we pretty much just it's just a networking opportunity to kind of just talk about different things that different people bring to the table, and then it gives you an opportunity to kind of just reach across the aisle, so to speak, and just link up with people that are like minded, and kind of get you on your way. Um, so what I'm doing with mine is um, building onto my platform, just kind of really just trying to get my feet up under me, and just introduce people as I learn different things. Introduce it to the people. One of the things that I wanted to do with my business, is the black silk, and one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was um, eliminating generational curses. A lot of us operate in traumas and we normalize that trauma, so we don't even acknowledge the fact or even recognize that certain things need to be worked on,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and physically, right?
Yeah.
So generational curses, to me, is really just about holistically being able to bridge all of those different points together,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to acknowledge that there are certain areas that we need to work on.
Yes.
And so I work on them myself. I've started doing my affirmations. I get up in the morning, do those. I'll do my meditation. I actually have a yoga class that I signed up for on Wednesday. So it's like a lot of different things in our community, a lot of different things that we need to embrace.
Mm-hmm.
We actually steer away from,
Yeah.
and this just takes our trauma and just adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
also is being able to um, get to certain types of information that we're not privy to,
Yeah.
and then how that slows down our ability to progress, and why these numbers that CNN and so many of these other institutions, like they go out there without hesitation and say, hey, yeah, by 2050, the black community, their economic base is going to be next to nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
And then when you start to see how um, these Fed now, the CBDC, and so many other things are outpacing our understanding
Mm-hmm.
of what it is that they're doing,
Yeah.
it starts to reveal itself on how they were able to come to that conclusion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Wait, before we get into that, when you talked about yoga, I really want to have like a sun gazing. I want to go out. I want us to go out to the park, shoes off, grounding, sun gazing, let the sun hit the top of our head, ground us from the bottom of our feet so that we can, get our heart center straight. So we're going to put that together. So I think one day we'll just, pick a park day and we all just going to go out there barefoot, standing in the sun.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like you said, we don't understand these things that are taking place. So can you give just a short breakdown of what the Fed now is? We'll start there since that's the first one rolling out.
Okay, so it's not officially rolling out in July. What they're doing is they're doing a process of what they're doing it in stages.
Okay.
Okay, so this is just a stage that they're in with being able to kind of slowly roll it out. So we've already seen that there are several businesses out there that you go to and you try to pay with money, and they're like, we don't accept money, we don't accept cash.
Yeah.
So that all that is a conditioning agent to get people conditioned to the fact that, okay, we're no longer using money. And if you're not really thinking about it, you're like, I don't use money anyway. I just use my debit card, right? But what's going to take away from that is your ability to do peer-to-peer transactions with each other. So if I want to buy something from you, then I have that ability to do that transaction without somebody else being in my business of whatever it is that I did.
Yeah. Intrusive.
Exactly. So what Fed now is it's its own currency. So every country is going to have their own currency. They're going to have their own version, their own name for their specific currency that they're going to be utilizing within their system. Fed now it just happens to be ours. So it's basically like if you Google it or you research it, it's going to give you all the good stuff as far as, you get to use you get immediate transactions, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For businesses, it's going to be great. For the feds and the banking system, it's going to be a great opportunity because you get instant transactions. So that's how they're using it for. It's just eliminating the paper currency or fiat, and then going and digitizing all of our payment system.
All right, and let me do the ghetto version of this. That means the Federal Reserve, y'all know that's the central banking system of the world. They're gonna be your bank. They're gonna be your Cash App. I'm gonna speak in Cash App terms because that's what our people understand.
Oh yeah.
And PayPal. So that's why. And listen, I know this might be a little controversial for me to say, but we have to look at the fact that we're losing the founder of Cash App and all the Bitcoin people getting snuffed off, because these gangsters that be working in these poly tricks.
Oh, not the poly tricks.
They move real stealthy, so that's just pretty much the gist of the Fed Now program. Is it's going to replace the Cash Apps and the PayPal. So like you said, if we want to do peer-to-peer exchanges, it's not going to be peer-to-peer because we're not going to have the cash to exchange. We got to do it through this card, through this Fed Now program, or not card, through this app, and they're going to see everything that we do. So, if you're trying to do hair out your kitchen, or if you're trying to sell cakes, or if you're trying to sell, little stuff like that, they going to know about it. They're going to see every single transaction you got going on, and that's a scary thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it gives them too much power.
Yeah, and it's like, and I mean, I think me and you kind of talked about it before, and it's like, so, like when you bring up stuff like Facebook and everything like that, I think people's initial reaction, because the gratification of being able to utilize a service outweighs what you have to exchange for it, right? So a lot of times you can tell somebody, you can say, hey, look, you do know that Facebook, Instagram is gathering up all your data. It's, what I'm saying, everything that you're doing. And then your immediate response would usually be like, oh, well, what I'm saying, like, I don't do anything anyway, right? So for the people that say that, right, I always say, okay, well, there's a reason why you have curtains in your house. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why you have tint on your windows outside of it blocking out heat. But there's a reason why we take certain measures to make sure that our privacy is our privacy.
Yep.
And I think that when it's something that is gratifying, and it's that instant gratification process, I think it's easier for us to kind of overwrite it and not really look at it that way. But in this instance, it's really something that needs to be taken into consideration, right? Because I mean, at this point, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, this is a policy that's being adopted worldwide.
Yeah.
So it's bigger than just the U.S., right? And that's where the CBDC comes into play, which is centralized banking digital currencies, right? So with everything going in that direction, we've actually empowered these governments to be able to do that because of our our desire to have Instagram, Facebook, you know what I'm saying, all these different conveniences.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you know what I'm saying, it's an easier way for them to actually come into the house, right? And then now once they're in the house, now you're dealing with squatters because now you can't get rid of them,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much what it is when it comes down to how they've pretty much, I'm not going to even say tricked, right? Because I think Steve Jobs said it best. He said, you know, uh, uh, you tell people what they want,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then once you give them something, you no longer have to worry about them stop using it, because now once you take it away, they're going to be beating down the door trying to figure out, like, yo, I need that back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you take your cell phone, for example, using
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs, um, if they were to make a cell phone tomorrow without a camera or a video recorder on it, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be sitting there like, nah, what is this? I don't want this. You know what I'm saying? So I think it would be the same idea, the same concept.
Yeah. Pull your mic just a little closer. But it's like, the vampire. The vampire can't come into your house until you invite him in. And then once you invite the vampire in, then he got full run. He can do whatever he wants to. So this is us inviting the vampire into our homes. And, a lot of people, like you said, well, I don't do nothing anyway. And that's going to be all good until they say, you know what? I don't think I like this purchase that these people are making. Let me shut this card off and make sure that they're not buying this, because they may think that, you purchasing something may be a threat to society. You know what I mean? So they'll have that type of power. So tell people how they do in China.
So yeah, it's a social credit system that they operate off of, and it's basically exactly what it is that we're talking about now. I mean, China should already have theirs um, fully processed and ready to go by the end of the year.
Mm.
The way they have it now is it's on a social credit system, which basically means that if you say or do anything that the government feels is against their policies, against their laws or whatever, even if it's just you simply saying, "Hey, look, I don't agree with this," if they so choose to, they can actually they actually go as far as to actually put people's faces on billboards with their addresses and everything. And basically, what that does is that it's almost like I no longer have to govern you, because now I'm going to get the citizens to govern you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, like, by putting it up there and you putting it on a system where you deem one person is good, as far as, oh, well, they pay their bills all the time,
Mm-hmm.
they never, the likelihood of them actually going out into the street and standing against the government, protesting or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the likelihood of them doing that is not high. So they're good.
Yeah.
But if something happens within the government that you don't necessarily agree with, and this is why I say that we are going to be worse off than everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
because we're the ones that get victimized the most.
Yeah.
So
They're gonna put us on blast.
right, and it's kind of like not only just putting you on blast and then classifying you as a threat or a criminal or whatever the tag is that they want to place on you.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to take into consideration that they're able to silence you via that digital currency
Yeah.
aspect, right? So it's like, if you say something wrong against the government, or if they feel like you have the potential of being a threat,
Mm-hmm.
right? They can cut you off.
Yeah.
So say if I wanted to come in today and I wanted to speak to you, but um, via my social media, or I'm saying, I'm just talking to somebody on the phone and I'm like, yeah, this is what we're doing. I'm gonna go meet up. We're gonna do a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Well, if I have to rent a car to get to you,
Mm-hmm.
they have that ability to cut that off. If
Yeah.
I have to fly from here to Atlanta because I'm going to you know what I'm saying, I'm going to do, I'm going to do a speaking engagement against
Mm-hmm.
something, you know what I'm saying? They have that ability to stop you from being able to purchase that airline ticket.
Yeah, and if people don't believe this is true, look at what they just did to Kanye West. They didn't like what he said.
Hmm.
All right. Is it Ye? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Ye. It's not Kanye. So look what they did to Ye. They literally cut access to his accounts. He could not access any of his money, and this man is a multimillionaire, and literally cut him off. He was on social media talking about, I can't even go right now and buy a cheeseburger because they cut his access off.
Mhm.
So this is happening in real time. So it's not something that we could see in the far, far future. This is something that we could see happen very soon. And like you said, we're already criminalized in this country just because the color of our skin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then just think right now how you have all of these people that like to take to their arms because they feel that we're a threat. So instantly, if they feel that we're a threat, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna pull out their guns and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is a threat," and they're gonna shoot us and kill us, and then they can use that as justification and say, "Well, I felt threatened by this person because you just blasted them and said that they were," you know what I'm saying, like socially
Deviant.
yeah, deviant, exactly. So I felt threatened and I took to my gun and I disposed of them.
Right.
So that's the kind of system that we can get to, and it's not far off, you guys. This is real, this is serious. So so let's talk about. So I know the Fed Now program is going to usher us into the CBDC. So kind of tell everybody why we should be alarmed.
So the CBDC is basically, um, is it's a it's actually like a connecting agent. So you have a fintech company called Ripple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what Ripple does is Ripple has a currency called XRP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And XRP embedded within XRP, just to kind of keep it surface level. It basically allows for a government or a banking institution to be able to utilize the information or the technology to be able to streamline those payment systems. So, say for example, um, me and you, we do a transaction. We use Cash App,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't understand that what happens is information gets sent from our banking institution, and then it goes into a third party banking institution.
Mm-hmm.
That third party institution communicates with the bank in which you bank at,
Yeah.
right? And basically, what it does is it sends information back and forth to each other to make sure that that payment is cleared before you send me out whatever product it is that I need,
Mm-hmm.
right? So to us as the consumer, it seems instantaneous, right?
Yeah.
Because it behind closed doors, it's working the way that it's supposed to. Well, what happens is it releases those funds based off the idea that it is there.
Yes.
So a better example would be this. So let's say somebody gives you a check,
Mm-hmm.
right? And let's say they issue you out a check, but to you the check is good,
Yeah.
right? So you go to your bank, you cash the check.
Mm-hmm.
The check automatically gets passed,
Uh-huh.
right? So you have access to the funds.
Yeah.
Well, now let's say once it takes about 3 days for that to clear,
Mm-hmm.
now they see that money is not there.
Uh-huh.
Like there's nothing there. Well, it bounces,
Yeah.
right? So now you have a bounce check.
Mm-hmm.
So now those funds have to be replaced because the information that was given was based off the fact that it was actually there
Mm-hmm.
when it wasn't. So
Wait, I'm gonna back you up though. Tell people what XRP is.
so XRP is a digital currency. It is number three. And as of this last week, it's probably not probably, but it is the most traded currency that they have out there on the market as of right now.
So it's a crypto.
Yes.
Okay, so cryptocurrency like a Bitcoin or
Ethereum.
Ethereum. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people don't understand the
Yeah.
cryptocurrency
Dogecoin.
world.
Everybody know
Dogecoin.
about
Oh, you know that,
Dogecoin.
yeah, to the
And
moon.
Shiba Inu, right? Yeah.
So,
So
so XRP is a cryptocurrency.
right, but it's more stable. And the way that this coin is created is it's created with everything that we're talking about in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it actually allows for all of that stuff to get streamlined instantaneously.
Okay.
So all of that, everything that's going on in the backdrop, where it normally would take about 3 days for it to for a bank to be able to process that
Mm-hmm.
and release those funds. What Ripple does is it removes that third party bank and it streamlines it to where both governments or the business to consumer, consumer to consumer, whatever the case may be, it is literally instantaneous. It happens
Just
at the you know what I'm saying,
right
at the
there.
snap of a finger. So
And that's kind of how they're gonna fool us with the Fed now thing, right? Because it's like, oh, the money's gonna transfer instantly, and there's gonna be
well, it's not really fooling us because
yeah,
that's
because it's
exactly what it's
what it
designed to
is.
do.
Yes.
It's just like anything else, they push something on us by giving us all of the good things of what it could happen, everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, what's the vulnerability that we're talking about? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Are we going to start seeing a higher rise in cyber attacks?
Mm.
Because now everything is digital.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Um,
Supposedly, they're supposed to be stopping that because they're gonna have all these processes in place to prevent fraud and all these different things
right.
from
But
what I hear. But I
I
mean,
mean,
there's always a way around it.
there's always a way around it.
Yeah.
And now, unless you're operating off of a, something that's more decentralized, or if you're operating wholly off of a blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak, which is what your Ethereum, your Bitcoins, and everything operates off of. So with the XRP, I'm heavy on the XRP,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So the reason why I'm heavy on the XRP is because literally that is exactly the coin that would be able to facilitate everything that's going on now, because that's what's going to be the one that's going to be in a good position to connect all of these different countries together.
Okay.
You already have a lot of institutions, banks that have already um, that's already in have that fintech
Mm-hmm.
Ripple structure within place
Yeah.
of their bank. They're just waiting on the SEC to go ahead and say, "Hey, look, all right, fine, no harm, no foul. We didn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and release it. Now you have the ability to purchase."
Okay.
So on most platforms, you don't have the ability to actually go out and purchase Ripple,
Mm.
right, or
Okay.
XRP. Um, so I was actually just privy to it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So I use Uphold,
Okay.
and
I was gonna say because we're gonna have to have a whole XRP conversation one day
yeah.
because even myself, I'm gonna need you to just break this thing down and how we get
Well,
into
we
this.
already been kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
talking
we
about it and
have, we
everything.
have.
So
I need them to understand too. So,
yeah.
but I also want to ask, like, how problematic do you see this being with us dealing directly with the Federal Reserves when this country itself is about $3 trillion in debt right now, just on a personal consumer level? I'm not talking about the country. I'm talking about consumer debt, credit card debt, whatever debt we have going out. We're about $3 trillion in the hole. So, and the Federal Reserve, Fort Knox, do we even have gold? Do we have a store? Like, does the Federal Reserve even have that to back it up? Like right now we got fiat currency going around. And are we just going to get now into just pushing buttons and just making up fake numbers and fake money? Like, where are we going with this? What are we
So
doing?
that's what the whole Ripple. That's what Ripple is for.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're talking about like bricks. You're talking about like all these other different things. To me, so a lot of people like to separate like de-dollarization.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they like to separate like the bricks and then look at all these different things independently. Um, I'm still waiting to see like somebody that actually kind of brings all of them together and show how they all kind of influence each other,
Yeah.
and how they all can kind of really affect each other.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been kind of looking at, because to me, um, when you look at the bricks, which is one of the ones that we'll talk
We'll
about.
talk about in coming.
So bricks, and then how that got started by Jim O'Neill, and then bringing Brazil, Russia, India, and China together,
Mm-hmm.
and then in 2009, 2010, bringing South Africa into the mix,
Mm-hmm.
and then right around the time when they all actually sat down and met each other, then that's when Russia and China started their processing of the de-dollarization.
Yeah.
Eliminating the U.S.'s influence in each of their respective countries.
Mm-hmm.
And how that dropped from a little over 90% just to, a little over 29%, in a matter of 6 years, and how simultaneously as they were removing the dollar out of their respective countries, they were stockpiling gold, and then they started to exchange around 2019. They actually started exchanging currencies with each other to empower their currency. So now the yuan is the fiat currency of the BRICS alliance, to help push out, fully the U.S. dollar's influence in each BRICS country.
Okay.
And now we got Saudi Arabia.
And Nigeria? I
Well,
just heard that Nigeria is trying to join.
it's getting a little
It's getting a little scary. And
Yeah.
so, the fact is, if people don't know, that in 1974 we went to a petrodollar because we no longer had the gold. So the gold standard was taken out in 1933.
Yeah.
And then in 1971 we went to 71 is when the gold standard went away. And in 1974 is when the petrodollar was formed, which means our dollar was only backed by foreign oil. So it's not even backed by our own oil. It's backed by foreign. And then, of course, we've used the dollar as a weapon. We've completely, we use it, oh, we're going to sanction this, we're going to put you on restrictions. So sanctions come into play. So everyone feels like America is a bully and that they're using the dollar to threaten and to punish people, so we can now get to a point where we're going to see everybody throwing these dollars back at us. And what's going to be the ramification of this if we get all these dollars coming back to us that no longer have any value to it? I think we know. Yeah, exactly. I think we know.
So the power of the dollar, in my opinion, from what I've seen, it's really backed off of the blood, sweat, and energy of the people, right? Because in order for you to have, it's in the name. It's a currency. It has to continue to move, right? So just think about it like this. So currency, the way it operates is it operates off of energy, the flow of energy, right? So every time you that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
So so every time you go and take out a loan, right? So that loan, how they get that interest is basically based off of your ability to repay that loan based off of the energy that you put into being able to get that money. So your overtime, that you working at work and everything like that, all of that is incorporated within the loaning process, right? So the petro was more so like the resource that was backing the dollar, right? And then the value of the dollar was based off of us working, us exchanging that energy, right? So, if your dollar isn't working for you, then it becomes stagnant, right? And it's crazy because so in prison, stamps was our currency, right? Stamps was our form of currency. Cigarettes was a second form of currency.
You
so
can
it's
break
like,
one cigarette down into 5. Sorry that I know that, y'all, but I was there. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we start talking about some caps when you start getting into some illegal activity.
Exactly.
But yeah, so stamps alone only hold a value of what you pay it for, right? And if you're not using those stamps to send out mail, then it essentially holds no value, right? But if you can take and you can say, okay, I'm going to use this as a universal form of exchange, and I can come to you and I don't have money to actually go to the canteen and buy my summer sauces, my rice, my noodles, my whatever.
Commissary.
Yeah, that part. You know what I'm saying? If I don't have money coming in and I can't physically go to the window to get that, but I know how to hustle, and so me hustling is me getting stamps because that is now the universal currency of exchange. You know what I'm saying? Then now it has a value.
Yes.
Right? So the more that you can accumulate, the more value you have. So money is the exact same way. That you have to, you know what I'm saying? It has to be an incentive for you to do it. People do it with baseball cards, we do it with Jordans, we do it with all these things that actually have no intrinsic value, right? But we create a value system based off of our desires and our needs for what we want it to be.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about that currency and everything like that, that's the, you know what I'm saying? That's the best way you can kind of look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to understand exactly how money works.
Yeah.
Now that petro, right? So when we brokered a deal with Saudi Arabia and told them, hey, look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you protection.
Mm-hmm.
You give us first dibs on us being able to get uh, the crude oil, and then now we can manipulate the prices, and you know what I'm saying, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That put us in a good power position,
Yep.
right? So now that's why it became the petro, you know what I'm saying, the petrodollar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, and our ability to move off of that. So, with Saudi Arabia talking about joining the BRICS,
Yeah.
and then now Japan
Yeah.
separating themselves from the G7,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're purchasing oil from Russia at a higher cost rate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you start to see that it's more than just inflation
Mm-hmm.
that we're dealing with. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And the United States government not really being as openly, honest about
Mm-hmm.
what we're really dealing with, and
Yeah.
trying to make it seem like everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? You
like I said, while we're sleeping, they've got all these different deals going on, and they're not telling us anything. Only those people that are really kind of diving in. And honestly, until we had that first conversation, and then you told me about the BRICS Alliance, and then I started doing research on it. And then as I go deeper in, it's like, you going down the rabbit hole,
yeah.
because then I also found out that by 2026, they plan to have all dollars confiscated.
Yeah.
And they did this in 1933 when they took everyone's gold, literally knocking on your door. Do you have gold? And okay, give us your gold. That's what they're going to do with the dollars. And even if you hold dollar bills after that, it's not going to be worth anything. So they're going to confiscate it. They already started with change. And I don't know if people noticed this or not, but when you go to certain places now, there's not change circulating. When I have my store open, I would go to the bank and today's not your day to get change. We don't have change today, so you can't come in today and get change. So we had to go on certain days to get change. And I was like, I need quarters, and they're like, I can't help you, So they're really doing away. Even the casinos. Remember, I used to go in the casino and you pull the slot and then all your quarters and stuff fall down. Now you just get a little ticket out the machine. You don't
Oh,
even
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
you don't even
That's
get
yeah.
actual cash or nothing out that thing no more.
Yep.
So people have to understand that we are getting to a place where you will not have a dollar bill in your hand. You're not going to have that paper money anymore. And when this happens, and we have a lot of African nations that are kind of looking into joining too, and they are very dependent on the US dollar. But when they start throwing that dollar back at us, it's gonna change the trajectory of America.
I think, I mean, not as a part of the series, right? But I think that's a whole nother conversation too, as far as like Africa about to be a problem.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like in like as far as power is concerned.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
My daughter's in South Africa and she talks to a lot of financial analysts out there, and they're like rejoicing right now, and they're just saying straight up, you better tell your people in America. I'm like, so do we get our wait, I'm gonna talk about the plan in a minute, but I'm like, do we exodus or do we stay here and rough it out? Because this is another thing that scares me is like if we get to a point where we do have to, have any type of wars or anything like that, my son is just turning 18. They gonna draft my son and they gonna make him go fight for this country.
you think they're gonna bring it back, the
I-
draft?
Man, hell yeah, they will. In an instant. And
I'm gonna be on my Muhammad Ali.
man, that's
Hey,
my son was like, I'll
fine.
go to jail, but man, F that. I don't want him in the war and I don't want him in jail. So I think now we kind of talk about what do we do to protect ourselves with all of this at hand. What is the answer? What do we do? So I'll give my thoughts and opinion on that, and then I'm gonna let you kind of talk about it. But I think number one, if you don't have your passports and passports for your children, you better do that now because, like I said, they're going to have the ability to control your spending and what you do. And if there ever comes a time where you, at last minute, and you're like, you know what, let me go get my passport, they can cut you off from getting your passport.
Hmm.
So that's something that you need to make sure that you have. Make sure you have your passport. And then I'm going to say hard assets, and then I'll let you elaborate on what you think hard assets are. and then
Okay.
and then you kind of tell me too what you think we need to do to prepare ourselves.
Okay.
All right.
I had to answer it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
But so you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll
Okay.
just I'll
All right.
piggyback.
So for me, I know we had this conversation, and I ain't gonna lie, me and Elena been working overtime to see how we can, as far as this gold is concerned, and it was ironic that you had said something about you were talking about the money and how they're gonna come in and they're gonna ask for the dollars. Now, if they unless they just say, "Hey, burn it up,"
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, even if you did hold on to it, there's really nothing you can do with it. I mean, you can exchange it for somebody, but it's
And then what?
then what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna mean anything.
Yeah, just to say, hey, look what we used to have back in the day. You know.
Right, that part. Yeah.
Even Germany at one time, remember they did a whole thing where they burnt all their money because they had hyperinflation. So they had to burn every single bill that they had, and they had to go into the new system. I was just learning about that. I don't know the full story behind it, but they did have a time where they had to burn all their currency.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like what quantitative easing. I mean,
Mhm.
quantitative easing, like when you put so much money into the market to stimulate the economy.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like playing double dutch. You have to do it at the right moment,
Mhm.
and then you have to know when to get out of it at the right moment.
Yep.
You have to time the timing has to be perfect. So, like right after they do the quantitative easing, there's a process that you have to go through where you start to taper it off,
Mhm.
which means that you start taking some of that money back out of the economy,
Yep.
right? Because if you oversaturate the economy, then you know what I'm saying, it loses value. The dollar loses value, which is exactly why China, Russia, because if you can just simply go in and just reprint some money and be like, here you go,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, then there's really no value in you being able to do business that way.
Yeah. Wouldn't
Right?
you say that's where we're at right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the funny part about what you were saying as far as like trying to compare where we're at now with where we were,
Mhm.
as far as the government coming in and saying, hey, look, you got to come up off all your gold. Now, if you got gold jewelry, you can keep that. But the coins, the bars, anything you have outside of jewelry, you got to turn that over.
Yep.
Well, the thing about that is gold has intrinsic value,
Mhm.
right? So they were able to have something as a form of exchange, right, for it. What are we going to exchange? I mean, we have nothing to exchange that dollar for. So
Yeah.
that's the funny thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, when they were exchanging this gold and everything, they were talking about fines of imprisonment,
Mhm.
fining you money.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Eh, if you were caught with it. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
if we were to take what they were fining people back then, it would be the equivalent of me like coming to you and you only make $30,000 a year,
Mhm.
and then what I'm fining you is $100,000. Like the
Eh,
math ain't math.
The math ain't
You know what I'm
mathing.
saying?
And then they did a voluntary confiscation. I think that was in like 2020. And they was like, turn your gold into cash. And everybody was running and they were liquidating their own gold jewelry. This is recent. So they were very smart with that because
Mhm.
a lot of people turned in all their gold jewelry. Unfortunately, I had a couple of pieces. I was like, I don't need these anymore. How dumb is that? But I wasn't thinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking.
It's the ignorance. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
the
They play on the
ignorance.
ignorance, but
Yes.
it's conditional ignorance. So it's
Mhm.
not really like, especially in our community, because there's a lot of information that we're not privy to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, and then when you give somebody information, it sounds so fantastical. Like
Yeah.
it almost seems unreal. So it's
Mhm.
like you're gonna push against it before you actually adopt that principle,
Yeah.
right? So it's like they played on that because
Yeah.
the conditioning part is like we were raised that way.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at people and they be like, yeah, but you don't teach us about the Constitution. You don't teach us about politics. You don't teach us about money. You don't teach us about these things. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, you can get somebody to break down, you know what I'm saying, you know, some unnecessary mathematical equation that has absolutely nothing to do with your everyday life. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They don't even teach you law, so
Mm-mm.
you know how to conduct yourself in a system that is ruled by laws.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
why I took my law classes. You know, got my paralegal studies degree, and I also went pre-law because there was a time that I was sitting in a courtroom and these people were talking over my head, and I said, I will never be in a position where they're going to be talking about my life and I have no idea what they're talking about. You know what I mean? But that's what really changed my life, is the fact that I took these law classes, because now it just kind of gave me an inside look at our government and these systems and how it's operating, and that's what led me to where I'm at today. So
mhm.
so I'm thankful that I did that. But we getting close, so
Right,
we
that's
we
what
gonna
I
yeah.
just looked
So
at the.
we gonna tell everybody what they need to do, and
Okay.
we're gonna do this in 4 parts, right? We got
Yeah.
3 more parts
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
So by the time we're done with this, if you take notes, you'll know what to do to prepare yourself.
And I'm not gonna lie, so I was trying to print out all my notes and everything like that because I like having structure.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I could. My computer wasn't acting right.
Look.
But I'm gonna be. Listen, yeah. The crazy thing is, I wrote it first, and then I went ahead and put it on the computer. But anyway, that's here nor
okay.
there.
We'll just kind of give just a couple of things, what you can do to protect yourself.
So so the first thing is gold, of course.
Gold, hard assets,
Get as much gold as you can.
silver.
Silver, yeah.
Well,
I would say gold first, but I would also definitely say silver. I'm not gonna count silver out.
Well, Robert Kiyosaki said,
Yeah, I'm not gonna count silver out.
he said, hoard your gold and spend your silver.
Yeah.
So he's saying that just for, keep the gold for
That's
the
actually a
long
good
term.
idea.
Yes, exactly.
good idea.
And I was like, you know what? I like that. So get your silver so you can use that to spend, and your gold, hoard that for your bigger things, for the bigger purchases.
Right.
So I would say have a nice mix. Of course, you probably want to have a larger gold stock than your silver, of course. But your silver would be for all the little stuff. So
Right.
So that's number 1.
All right. And then just so I know that one of the places that I was recommended was Bullion Star. It's a very reputable online dealer of gold. Very reputable dealer. So I know we were actually talking about something a little bit more local. So as soon as we find that out, of course, we'll pass that on to you guys as well.
Yes.
So we got a couple of places we're looking at as far as gold is concerned. But me, on the other hand, so I have a little bit of Ethereum. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, I got, 20, 30 plus Ethereum coins. I'm not going to sit here and cap like that. But I do have me about 1.5 worth of Ethereum.
Okay.
I have
crypto.
so I have me some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not finna sit here and be like, I got massive amounts of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But I do have Bitcoin. Now what I do have a lot of is XRP.
XRP. Yeah.
I got a lot of XRP. I got a lot of XDC. I have some Hedera, and I have some XLM. And then we'll get into each one of those, what those are.
Okay.
So,
because I'm old school, so me, I would feel more safe with the hard assets. I want to get into crypto, but I wouldn't make that for myself personally. I wouldn't hold a lot of it, only because I still feel like it's still in a digital world where it still can be controlled. And I know there's so many firewalls and blockages and all this stuff, but I can't hold it. I want to hold it, like I want something that's in my hand. That way, if the ish break loose, I can grab what I got and I go.
Well, here's the good thing. So you have cold wallet storages, and you have your hard wallet storages. So for me,
is that what that is?
That's exactly what this is.
Okay, hold that up. And show.
So this right here, it is a nano. Okay, this is called a ledger. Right. It is a hard wallet. It looks just like a flash drive, thumb drive, right? So this is what you hold all your crypto on, right? So what this does is it is fully encrypted.
Okay.
All right. So it's like
So you can hold it.
That's what I was
I
trying
mean,
to tell you.
I mean, it's still in the digital world, but you have the actual tangible.
You need to guard this with your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the only reason why I even brought this is just so I can show you guys that, for one, I'm actually doing what it is that I'm recommending.
Yes.
I'm not just telling you guys to do something and I'm not doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And then while we're talking about this, I'm gonna show this too.
Okay.
So
tangibles.
Yeah.
Yes.
So so the good thing about so you have what's called so this right here would be a cold wallet, right? So this is oh, it went up. Okay. So this is basically saying that all of your crypto assets are stored on a certain platform, whether it's crypto.com, Coinbase, Kraken, Robinhood, any one of those exchanges where you can actually purchase your currencies off of, right? Well, the problem with that is if one of these exchanges for whatever reason tanks, right? Well, if you wake up the next morning and Coinbase is gone, so is all your crypto, right?
See, that's the
all of your
scary
crypto
part.
that you got. So what I always tell people is, right, whenever you go ahead and do this, you download your MetaMask, and once you get one of these nanos, you can definitely go on there and basically YouTube. So each one of these exchanges gives you the ability to exchange it from one exchange to the next exchange, and then ultimately being able to use like a MetaMask to take all your currencies and then lock them onto your hard wallet.
Okay.
And then what that does is that it gives you the ability, so no matter what happens within the rest of the world, what happens with Coinbase, Kraken, whoever, right? As long as you have everything on this hard wallet, there is nothing that anybody can do. Like literally, somebody would literally have to hold you at gunpoint and ask you for each one of your phrases. So when you download this thing, it's gonna have a bunch of phrases that you have to write down, and you have to write them down in order.
Okay.
After you write them down in order, then once you log on to it and you open it up, you turn it on, it's going to ask you for your passcode first. After you put in your passcode, then it's going to ask you for your phrases.
Okay.
Right? You put your phrases in there, and it unlocks it, and then it gives you access to be able to either exchange, from one to the other.
Transfer. Okay,
Yeah, to transfer it over. So this is definitely a must-have.
Okay.
If you're going to go ahead and get your crypto.
Yeah, we're gonna get
and keep it in a safe. Do
And keep
not
it in a
walk
safe.
around with
Yeah.
it, because if you lose it,
You're done.
it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you definitely want to keep this in a safe place.
And I'm just going to say one more thing to protect yourself, and then we'll talk about the rest of them next week. But build your tribe. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot do this alone. So what we are getting ready to endure, you really have to have like-minded people on your team. That way you guys can build together and you can create together so you can protect yourselves. If you're safe with your nano, you got a garden going and you got some stuff going, right? And then somebody sees that and they like, well, they got food over there, they got water, they got all kinds of stuff over there. Let me just go get what I
Be
want.
like The Walking Dead.
Clack clack, exactly.
Be like The Walking Dead.
Yes, and there's so many single mothers out there. So can you imagine, like, as a single mother and you trying to protect what you got to feed your kids, and then here come a whole little horde of people coming in to take what you got? They're gonna take you over so easy.
Yeah.
So it's very important for us to start really, getting together and building communities. I think that's one of the most important things.
And it's about structure too. I'm just paying attention to the time.
Yeah.
So it's about structure too, right? So, like what you said as far as the tribe, right?
Yeah.
Even something as small as, so I saw something. So first and foremost, a lot of this stuff is scary,
Yeah.
right? So the first thing I did was, I literally look at it as a scary situation. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, well, how can I alleviate that fear?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just by getting knowledge about it.
Yeah.
Getting knowledge on it.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely one of those times. Now I didn't see it because I was younger, right? But it would be the equivalent of the industrial age getting transitioned into the information age.
Yep.
And a lot of individuals didn't want to embrace the information age because they were looking at it like, oh, it's a trend. It's here today. It's gone tomorrow. Well, tell that to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When they didn't want to partner with Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Just as an example.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't still operate off of the old mentality thinking that it's a trend that's going to be here today, gone tomorrow. That CBDC, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
When you have over 114 countries in the world right now in some position of CBDC,
Yeah.
I think that's something that you really need to take a look at and really need to take seriously as far as like what that looks like.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it last week just to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it last week as far as their ability. So on the Ripple network, right, on the FinTech network, what it does is it gives them the ability to destroy. It gives the banks the ability to destroy coins and then create more coins, which means that now the government has the ability to literally put an expiration date on those coins that they issue
Yeah.
and tell you, hey, look, it's a use it or lose it type of thing.
Yeah.
So if you don't use it by this time, then you lose it.
Yeah.
Right. And what it does is it pigeonholes mainly our community are going to be the ones that's the most susceptible. It literally pigeonholes you into a certain class
Yeah.
that you're not going to be able to break through because it's not going to give you the ability to actually save and be able to actually maneuver the way you want to because you're constantly going to be trying to figure out, okay, what I need to do to make sure that I have this, that I have that, that I have this, that I have that. Oh, damn, now I got to go ahead and I got to keep in mind that this expires this month. What do I need? Because now you're going to be buying stuff that you won't necessarily need because you have to.
Yeah.
Like,
So, all right. Well, that's it for today, for this week. And come back next Sunday. We're gonna continue the conversation. And I mean, we gotta, like I said, we gotta do this in parts so that you guys get all the information.
and then real quick, for the people that are watching, put some questions in there.
Yes,
So that way
questions.
we can kind of see, what we need to double back on. Because on the fourth one, we're gonna actually summarize everything and then recap a lot of the things that we're doing. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So questions. I will be on Power 88 tomorrow morning at 8:30 talking about health is wealth, wealth is health. So don't forget to tune in for that conversation. And on that note, I wish we could summarize this conversation, but we ran out of time. So we'll summarize it next week. All right, you guys. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to tune in next week and remember to elevate us, y'all. All right. Peace out.